All right, this video is to explain a problem that I noticed. I was looking for PRR, HO scale passenger coaches. I wanted something that was pretty well detailed, and so I was looking for Rapido. I got a couple Rapidos, but couldn't find as many as I needed on eBay, and I saw that the Centralias were comparable. It's a really nicely detailed rail car. Anyway, I couldn't find, however, any documentation as to how to take these things apart. On the Rapido, you can squeeze the sides and the roof pops off. These are not like that. And it pissed me off, frankly, that nobody has documented how to do this. And the way it's done is the sides pop off. Actually, the roof and the sides pop off. But there's a small, there we go. There's a small crease in there. I can't hold the phone and the rail car. But along the sides, you'll see just here. I'm going to use an X-Acto and pry this thing off and show it to you. And let's do that, and I'll get back to you. Just wanted to point out, you'll notice I have this thing on tenuously perched on these two boxes. The reason for that is these things have the little bars, handrails, grab irons, or whatever. I think I already broke one on this one. But you don't want to damage those. And then to show you, let me see if I can get this X-Acto in here and hold this at the same time. Yeah, you might be able to, there you go. You can see where the seam is. And if you're lucky enough, assuming you don't have a new one, if you're having to pry these off, hopefully you got one that someone hasn't glued with a ton of glue, and you don't break it. But that's how they come apart. The phone and do this, but pretty much oftentimes the ends will be glued a little bit more securely than the middle, so just delicately pry it, it'll come out, and there you have it. Okay, so if it's not obvious, the reason that you would want to take these cars apart is generally to add seated figures, or I may put seated figures. I'm not really happy about the ones I got, but some of these cars have lights, interior lights, some don't. And what I have are, I might as well combine this in the video, these are Train Techs. I got the Train Techs CL2, which is a warmer light than the CL1s. Quick note about these. The Train Techs, zoom in here, have a chip here. I'm assuming that's the little chip. It's a motion detector, which is way cool. The other thing about these that I like is that they take a 2032 battery. It's a little large, but the cool thing about that, they're not nearly as expensive as, Rapido has the solution, similar battery-powered solution. The problem is they use these higher cost, smaller batteries, so they don't last as long as they cost more, and they cost more. So, although the upfront cost for these Train Techs, they come in a 3-pack and individually, is a little higher, I think overall you're having less grief to maintain them using the larger battery and the motion sensor. And the singles actually come with a battery in the package. So one other thing about the Train Techs. So I'll demonstrate this. Here's the motion sensor. So here's one that's out and not on. If I bump this puppy, you'll see that the lights come on, and the chip is programmed to keep the lights on for 4 minutes. So if you're simulating an operation where you're discharging passengers, the train stops, it's not going to go out right away. They'll stay on for 4 minutes, which is, you know, kind of more prototypic action. So that's that. So now, you know, it's crazy that nobody's ever documented this on the internet, but that's how you do it. And then I'll use Elmer's, not a plastic glue, to put these back on, because eventually the battery will need to be replaced, and I don't want to have to tear up the rail car to get back in there to replace the battery. So that's that. Hope it's helpful. As you pry the sides off, if you do end up lifting up the roof and getting it off, great. That means you can put your little people and the seated figures in it. But and reassembling it, I would suggest you glue the roof back on first. Okay, let that thing set, and then come back and glue the sides. Just from my experience, that works out better.